I'm Sebastian St. James. Today I'll give you the best strategy for investing your super. In a previous video, one of my viewers said, "Hi Sebastian, is there a view on how the individual should structure their super investments? Most funds have a range of alternatives, and you can even select the percentage allocated to each investment type, Mr. Steve OC. That I definitely have a view on. To understand where you should put your super, you need to understand the 3 different super levels. And here they are, the 3 super levels, which apparently I will be revealing shortly. For this video, I have chosen 3 Australian super funds. Now, this video is not specifically about those Australian funds, it's about investment choices and superannuation. But if we discover something damning in those superannuation funds, well, so be it. The first one is Q Super. Oh, that's the fund which Mr. Steve OC is in. Next is Care Super. And lastly, Australian Super, which is the largest super fund, well, oddly enough, in Australia. Most other Australian super funds will have similar options. There are things in life you don't get a choice in. The footy team of the family you were born into. And the religion that your family follows. In the same way, superannuation funds have a default option, the place they put your investments in when you haven't chosen your own footy team and religion. Q Super calls their default lifetime. For Care Super, it's the balanced option, and Australia Super has our balanced option. Default sounds like you'll be punished with underperformance because you were too lazy to make a choice of your own, and that's largely true, but it might be the right portfolio for Jeff. Who's Jeff? This is Poppy, and she's one of my channel members. And this is Jeff, as painted by Poppy, who's been taking art classes. Poppy tells her husband that stocks are the best performing asset class, but Jeff's brother says only buy property, and their retired neighbour says bonds are the only safe investment. So what is Jeff to do? In the Care Super Balance portfolio, oh, look at those options. In Australian shares, 23%. Overseas, 26%. You have property and alternatives. Alternatives? What are they? Alternatives are everything not stocks, bonds, property and cash, and they have no provable long-term track record. Can I show you the graph of alternatives? No. By definition, they're investments that have turned on, tuned in and dropped out. And alternatives feel like they're accountable to no one. But Jeff likes them because he doesn't trust mainstream investments in the first place. Oh, I just got a thanks from Phil. Thank you very much, Phil. That was very nice of you. Phil has a question about whether the Australian mining sector, which is going gangbusters, is outperforming the NASDAQ or not. What an excellent question. And Phil is currently 3rd from the top of my queue. Oh, so close. The default portfolio of most super funds is called balanced, but Q Super is odd. Every 6 months, we'll assess your age and balance, and if needed, move your money to another lifetime group. And they've called their groups Outlook, Aspire, Focus, Sustain. I think I just threw up a little bit in my mouth just reading those labels. And we have a term for that, wanky, deliberately obscure, aspirational marketing. In the real world, we call this target date funds. And this may be suitable for Heidi. This is Heidi, and she's one of my channel members. Heidi watches my videos religiously, and she's convinced that stocks win out overall. She is a chief financial officer, and she's going to retire with $2.6 million. Way to go, Heidi! Her requirement is to make as much money as possible and then retire with stability. And that could fit in with the target date fund. So how do they work? When your age is less than 40, they invest you in 100% stocks. Between 40 and 50, they will go 85% stocks, then 65, and then finally they'll put you in 60% stocks and 40% bonds. Of course, the ages and the percentage will depend on the particular fund, but that's the general idea. With Q Super's default portfolio, when you're aged less than 40, you're in 2% cash and 61% equities. When you're 58 years of age, no, you're 40% cash and only 30% equities. Clearly, that's a target date fund. These funds are best suited to people who already have enough money to live off, which means they don't need much growth in retirement, or to people who want everything to be fully on autopilot. But how have these default portfolios performed? Order in the court. Judge Sebastian presiding. To judge a balanced portfolio, we need to compare it against something which is also balanced. What if we took stocks and forced them to have a baby with bonds? I know that sounds morally wrong, but as I'm the presiding judge, I will allow it. Here's a graph of the stocks and bonds. We combine them, and a brand new baby orange line is born. Whoa! And what is that line? Oh, it's a 60-40 portfolio, 60% stocks and 40% bonds. Magnificent. Let's see how a brand new 60-40 benchmark compares against superannuation's default balance portfolios. Oh, I just got a thanks from Meredith. Very nice, Meredith. Thank you very much for that. This is Q Super. Their investment returns are as of the 31st of August, and they only go up to 5 years. So I'll use the same data on my graph. And the CAGR, the annualized figure, is 12.4% return. And Q Super has returned, oh, definitely not 12.4%. 5.3%, 5.51%. Pathetic, pathetic, oh, even more pathetic. Q Super, hang your head in shame. 60-40 portfolio is conservative, retirement level, sleepy, nothing special, and you can't even keep up with that. Each super fund's dates are slightly different, which is why I'm showing them to you. Over that 10-year period, a balanced portfolio has returned 14.1%. That seems high for something that has 40% bonds in it. Why? Stocks in that period returned 16.1%. Wow, and that makes up 60% of our portfolio. Care Super's balanced portfolio has returned 7.9%, whereas the bog standard 60-40 fund has returned double. Oh. A 60-40 portfolio requires no effort at all. Grab a couple of ETFs and you're done, and you don't have to pay the hefty super fees. We've looked at the balanced portfolios of 3 super funds. But what if you could express one word and your entire future retirement is based on that word? Moderate, balanced, socially responsible, aggressive. To find out how this works, we need to meet my latest channel member. Oh, it's Jiong Hung. Hung has discovered from watching my videos that being invested can give you amazing compounding returns. But that is where his plan ends. Should he go 100% stocks, or should he include something else? And if he goes stocks, which stock should he have? But what he does know is the term that describes him best, high growth. And he wants it now. For that, we'll have to take Super to the next level. Oh, I just got a thanks from Mr. Steve OC. Thanks, amazing work you do. Wow, thank you very much, Steve. That was a lovely surprise. Hang on, is this the very Steve that this video is created for? Well, let me check. Mr. Steve OC? Oh, yes it is. Steve is one of my channel members, plus he gives regular thanks, and this pushes his questions to the top of the queue. Way to go, Steve. So, if you want the same power as Steve, and obviously you do, hit the join and thanks button below this video. The next level in Super is pre-mixed. According to Australian Super, simply choose an option and leave the rest to us. So, pick a word that describes what you want. Hung is going to go with aggressive. With Australian Super, he chose high growth. But is high growth really high growth? To find that out, we need to compare it against something which we know is high growth. This is the S&P 500 total return, which means including dividends, converted to Australian dollars. Based on Q Super's reporting period, the high growth stocks has returned 16.6%. In the same period, Q Super has returned 7.87%. Wow, that's less than half in what they call their aggressive portfolio. This is as aggressive as Q Super gets. What a dismal performance. Let's see how the others have gone. Care Super's growth portfolio, which is their most aggressive, has returned 8.75%. The S&P 500 has returned 16.2% in exactly the same time period. Australian Super has returned 9.62%. It sounds so easy to choose your investment style. High growth, moderate, balanced, and then leave it entirely up to your super fund to implement. But when you leave it up to your super and they only return 7 to 9%, and in the open market you can return 16%, that is unforgivable. So much for the pre-mixed option. To take super to the next level, we need to meet my latest channel member. And here he is, seemingly in Thailand. And if you want to know what you look like in my world, just become one of my channel members. Stephen has seen my Monte Carlo simulation of different investment options, and he doesn't want to leave it up to his super funds to make those decisions for him. He wants to choose exactly which assets to invest in. Which takes us to level 3, the single asset. This is the highest level you can achieve within your super fund while following their traditional options of investment. With QSuper, their single sector options are cash, diversified bonds, international shares and Australian shares. Why no property? Does QSuper not believe investing in property? Oh, I just got a thanks, and this one requires a fanfare. Oh, it's from Elmo. Wow, thank you very much, Elmo. That was a lovely surprise. And this keeps Elmo's questions right at the top of the queue. Way to go, Elmo. According to QSuper, there's no such sector as property for you to invest in. But do they allow this? I decided to dig a bit further. And here it is. In their balanced portfolio, they have real estate, infrastructure, commodities, alternate assets. I call this half-arsery. You want to invest in their balanced portfolio, you have access to all these asset types. You want to invest in them directly? What asset types? I don't remember. We don't have those assets, do we? Australian Super offers 2 shares and a couple of fixed interests. Single assets should be the highest performing of all portfolio types. You're not trying to be balanced, you're just focusing on what you want. Order in the court. Judge Sebastian will now decide. Let's start off with cash. Over the last 10 years, QSuper has returned 1.41%, Care Super 1.82%, and Australian Super 1.7%. Let's compare Super's special cash portfolio to sticking your money in the bank. In the same time period, a high interest savings account has returned 2.18%, which means the winner is sticking your money in the bank. Oh. Fixed interest, which is bonds, QSuper has returned 2.15%. Care Super 2.13%, Australian Super 2.58%. The Australian 10-year government bonds, which are incredibly safe, have returned 2.54%. So when it comes to fixed interest, the winner is, it's actually Australian Super. Finally, Super wins. Well, it's only one Super. The other two actually fell behind. With international stocks, QSuper returned 9%, Care Super 10%, Australian Super 11%, and in the same time period, the S&P 500 returned 16.2%. Okay, winner, the S&P 500. Yes! Do you get the impression that with Super, no matter what investment option you choose, you'll always underperform? Funny about that. Oh, I just got a thanks from Trainor. Lovely, thank you very much for that. And Trainor's asked a question about why don't we give superannuation to kids at the beginning, and with compound interest it would grow up, and when they get to retire, they'd have so much more money. And that's a very interesting idea. That question has now been bumped up the queue because of Trainor's thanks. And I have a few more thanks I couldn't fit into this video, but fear not, I will thank you in the next video. Let's step outside the US and compare Super against the entire world. I've chosen the S&P 500 Global Broad Market Index, the BMI, which invests across all countries, 14,000 stocks. S&P 500, eat your heart out. And here it is. This is the world total return. Total return means including dividends. which means the winner is in fact the world total return. Australian super performed, well, not bad, and Q super, pathetic. But still, where is my 16% of the S&P 500? If you know nothing about investing in stocks, investing in the S&P 500 is a good default choice. In the super funds we've looked at so far, investing in the S&P 500 is simply not possible, and that costs you between 5 and 7% every year, year after year, because these super funds can't provide as something as basic as a bog standard ETF. Now that I have been thoroughly disappointed with super funds, the question is, if I have investments inside a super and outside of super, how should I treat them? Well, your investments inside of super and outside of super should be viewed as one cohesive philosophy. So if you go for 100% stocks, go for the same in your super. If outside of your super you invest in 80% stocks and 20% bonds, you could replicate that inside your super. But because you can see your investments as one cohesive whole, you could also break it up, so 20% bonds outside your super and 80% stocks inside your super. But what you shouldn't do is this. Before retirement, I want to go for 100% stocks. Afterwards, no, I'm going to go for 50% bonds. But because super is locked away until I retire, I need to lock it in now. Put my bonds in there now. Sure, your super may be locked away until you retire, but it is growing now. So if you're a 100% stock person right now, then your super should be the same. And then when you retire, that's when you change things over to bonds. The time has come to compare all of our super funds and find out which is their very best performing option. With Q Super, their best performing option is international shares. This comes as no surprise to me. In all the years I've been monitoring superannuation funds, international stock seems to be the consistent winner. Care Super's best portfolio is overseas shares. And Australian Super's winner is international shares. Now let's compare the numbers. But that's within your super. Outside of super, the S&P 500, 16. Or if I go up to the Nasdaq 100, 22.7%. Woo! With super underperforming so much, why don't we just all ignore it and invest in some ETFs and get those proper returns? Well, the answer is tax. Your tax on super before your retirement is 15%, after 0. Yes, 0. Based on what we have seen, superannuation returns suck. But is there a way of tapping into those amazing returns outside of super while still being inside of super? Yes, and there are 3 possibilities. Number 1, some super funds have index funds. Ooh, how exciting! Can we see which ones? Yes. And some super funds allow you to directly invest in real ETFs. Nice! Can we see which ones? Yes. Or you could bypass super funds and roll your own self-managed super fund. Oh, how exciting again! But if I revealed that to you right now, on top of everything else in this video, your head would explode. Coming up in the next few videos, interspersed with videos answering viewers' questions, I will be creating a brand new mini-series which will take each of these questions and answer them for you. And once you've seen them all, you will become an expert on superannuation, and your friends will think you're cool. Yes! Oh, I just got some thanks from Elmo. Thank you very much, Elmo. I can never thank Elmo enough. Elmo has discovered my secret. What is it? It is my secret formula, which I can't tell you about, which apparently I reveal in this video here. I shall watch that video to find out what it is. 2,035,812 Australians will go broke if they follow this retirement system. Which retirement system? Click here to find out, or if you've seen that, click here.